You stand in a very quiet room full of tall, white cabinets. You reach for a drawer to see your name. A loud click stops your hand before you touch the cold metal. The heavy drawer stays shut for you. A man in a black suit watches you from a dark corner. He holds a notebook and a sharp pencil. This is the system that decides if you can buy a house. It makes 3 stops on the long road. First, we ask who is watching. They keep files on over 200 million people in the big city. Norman thinks this 3-digit number is a gold star. He thinks he earned it for being a good boy. He carries his score like a shiny gold prize. He shows it to the man at the bank. But the score is not a gift for Norman. The score is a secret book about Norman's whole life. These companies do not work for you. They do not care if your feelings are hurt by a low number. They watch what you do with your green paper. They write it all down in a very big ledger book. Then they sell those notes to shops that lend money. Your life is the story they sell today. Life is like a very giant farm. You are not the farmer, and you are not the person buying milk. You are the cow. The farmer watches the cow to see how much milk the cow can give him. The farmer sells that paper to the milk shop. The shop pays the farmer for your secret data. One company made over $5 billion last year. Most of that was selling lists of your names. They have a file on every person in the big city.
They even have files on people in small villages. You never signed a paper for this. You never said they could watch how you use your green paper. They are the quiet shadow that follows you to the shop. They watch every time you use your cards. Every time you pay for a new toy, they write it down. When you are late, they are angry. They turn your life into a simple math game. They give you numbers between 3 and 800. If the math game says you are a bad cow, you pay more. The lenders want a bigger prize. Norman wonders if this is fair. He did not ask for a shadow to follow him to the shop. But the shadow is everywhere. It is in your phone and in your mail and at your big bank. The wrong answer is thinking the score belongs to you. You are the product they sell to the banks. Now we must look at the real question. How do these shadow people make money from your whole life? The shadow men do not sell the score to you. They sell your life story to the big banks. Banks pay for a look at Norman's story. The money flows to the bureau men who watch him work. You are not the person buying the stuff in the shop. You are just the fruit on the tree. Let us look inside the bucket they use to grade you. It has 5 different piles of sand. Every pile of sand tells a different story about money. The shadow men weigh each one very carefully. The biggest pile is how well you pay back what you take. This is your old track record.
If you forget to pay a bill, the sand turns into heavy black rocks. Norman struggles to lift it. One on-time payment adds a grain. One late payment adds a heavy rock that stays for years. The next pile is about how much of the bank's money you use. This is the stuff you owe. If your cards are full, the bucket gets too heavy to carry. The bureau man makes a note. Then there is the total age of your accounts. This is like a tree that needs time to grow. A tree that is 10 years old is very strong. A new sprout can be easily broken. If you cut down an old account, the score falls over. Norman tries to tape the tree back. People call this whole system credit risk. It is just a fancy name for your own price tag. Credit risk is the chance the big bank will not get their green paper back. It decides your total price. Norman wants to be the best student in the room. He decides to throw away everything he owes. He pays off every card and closes every single box. He stands there with empty hands and smiles. But the number on the wall starts to drop fast. Norman looks at the bureau man with big eyes. The score is falling, even though Norman owes no money. He does not understand the new rules. You have been picturing the whole thing backwards. This system does not want you to owe zero money. If you never borrow money, the shadow men have nothing to sell. They cannot see into your secret heart. A person who owes nothing is a ghost to them. The bank cannot make money from a ghost.
They need you to use the cards and pay the fees. This is how the engine keeps spinning. One part of their business is scores. The second part is selling your data to other giant companies. Norman realizes he was trying to win a game with the wrong rules. The goal is not freedom. Mr. Market steps out from behind a curtain. He wears a shiny suit. He holds a magnifying glass over Norman. He is not looking at Norman. He does not see his hard work. He only looks at a tiny paper. This paper is a late bill. It is for a few dollars. To the robot, this bill is a mountain. Because of this one mountain, the price of the house grows. It gets much more expensive for Norman to buy. The extra interest on a house can cost $80,000. That is more than the price of a truck. Norman tries to hide the paper behind his back. Mr. Market just writes a new number on a big board. The robot does not care if Norman was sick. It only sees the red ink on the tiny paper slip. Now Norman stands before a giant door. It looks like a beautiful house. He wants to go inside the house. He has the keys in his hand. But the lock on the door has 3 digits. He must match them. Norman waits. If the numbers match his score, the door opens. If they do not match, the door stays shut for him. Every story in his life is stacked against this one number. The title promise is finally right here for him. He looks at the score. He looks at the house. He knows he never chose to play this hard game.
3 huge companies made the lock. They sold the key to the bank. They made money from Norman's score. The silence is a drum roll as he reaches for the handle. He finally knows how the whole system actually works. This is the system that decides if you can buy a house. It is just a very big math robot. The robot sells a guess about the future. It sells that guess to people who want to make a profit. Ownership moves from people who pay to people who own the math. It is a very giant money machine. The system does not want Norman to be free. It wants him to keep paying for his big house borrowing. Now you know the truth. This is the system that decides if you can buy a house. It is a guess. We are back at the old cabinet in the bark room. Everything is quiet. It is very cold in here. Norman turns on a bright flashlight. He looks inside the drawers. He can see all of the names in there. Each file is a person. Each number is a price tag. He sees his own name on a red folder. Norman draws a smiley face on his file. He feels better now that he sees how the robot works. The room is still dark. But Norman is not afraid. He knows why the numbers are on the paper now. But what happens to the files when the building closes? What happens to your money when a bank fails?